Good evening and salutations, my General Hospital fans. So, this was an interesting episode because there was things that worked in this episode, and there was other things that was just like, eh. And then, okay, question of the day is, can you make all soap opera fans happy? I know it's kind of a stupid question, but let's think about this for a minute. So, if you watch the episode, you know exactly what happened, and we'll talk about Brando. You know what happened. Um, Something about the way that he died, and I know it may play a bigger part towards the end, but the way that 1 minute he was, critical, next minute he was alive, then then he just died. I don't know. In the beginning, it bothered me a little bit. This back and forth, I don't know. I felt like in some ways they were just kind of just dicking around with my emotions, and I was just not happy about it. Um, but then I had to sit there and look at the whole thing towards the end. Portia and TJ kept asking what happened. I mean, Portia went to Finn, who is a disease specialist. So it makes me think that, this hook must have been poison. Because TJ was like, the surgery went well. We repaired the damage. We cleared the debris, whatever, chips, fragments, whatever. So everything was good. And then he started coughing and flaming up and stuff like that. And like, this came out of nowhere, you know. And I mean, granted, Stella did have to make a point. She did make somewhat of a point. Sometimes things happen, you know. Granted, she was talking about the religious side of it, but just even from a medical standpoint, sometimes in 1 minute you could be fine, next minute, and you may not even get an answer. But I also had to take like a good 10 minutes before I started recording. The thing is, when you're watching a soap opera or you're watching any show, character dies or whatever in a hospital, especially a hospital, not just like, the characters just died or whatever, but like in a hospital, it hits different when you get older. When I watched it in high school, when I was at 11th or 12th grade. So seeing scenes like that when in the hospital and somebody dies, it's just like, okay, this is kind of sad, but it's like, it doesn't hit you the same way when you're older. And for reasons that I'm not going to talk about, it obviously it struck, it bothered me in a sense. So I needed like a good 10 minutes just to kind of breathe a little bit before I started this. But then I was sitting there thinking, because when I do my live streams or whatever, sometimes we'll sit there and I think it was last Sunday. It was like, who do you think is going to die or whatever, or who, what character would you get rid of? What character would you keep? And this is where the whole you can't make everyone happy comes in. I would have much rather them keep Brando than them keep Rory. But Rory still knew they can always do something later on with him. He could be part of the Wu family or whatever, make his character really interesting. And the thing with Brando, I like Brando, and this is something that I told James when we did our last video together. Besides the main characters, every other character I kind of like evenly. So, like, even if they killed off Brando, I'm like, well, this sucks. Especially since you could have probably killed off somebody else. But at the same time, okay. One of my main complaints about this show, one of the complaints that I have, Brock TV, James, DC, and some other people all have, is that this show is too bloated. with characters. It just is. I don't know if their method is to go with um qu- quantity over quality. I don't know what it is, and it's not like the characters aren't good, but it's like y'all need to find ways to start trimming this stuff down a little bit. Um, I don't know why. When I just talked about that, it made me think about I don't know DC versus Marvel, DC TV shows versus Marvel. Marvel would have 10 episodes, DC would have 20, and it's like it's not necessary. And it's the same thing with this show. Um, so yeah, Brando dies, and I'm in the beginning. I'm just like, what are y'all doing? And then when the lights flickered, when the lights flickered, and you saw Sasha, and Sonny was talking to some random guy named George or something, and he's like, "Oh, do you know Mike? Do you know my father, Mike, or whatever?" Because he saw the newspapers. I don't know. Maybe this was one of those things where it's like, I don't know, a sign or whatever. It's very weird to sit there and get into religion because not everyone is religious. Some people are atheists and stuff. Um, but I felt like there was a lot of religious tones in it, and I don't know. Some people would have been happy about it. Some people would have been like, I don't know. But there was a point where the lights flickered when Sonny was talking to that guy. Then a guy out of nowhere was like, I don't know why, but you're needed. And I'm just like, what? I mean, it wasn't a bad scene, you know, but it was also just, I guess, kind of random. If that makes any sense. Gladys, you got Gladys, Sasha, Nina. They all rushed there. Well, Nina and Gladys get there, and Sasha's already upset, so they already know what's going on. They're all sitting there crying and stuff like that, and this is where I have mixed emotions about Sasha's performance, or just her scene in general. It was very difficult to sit there and judge it because her crying seems so over the top, right? And granted, it makes sense, but the crying almost got to a point of laughter. But then I had to sit there and think, a lot of times when I laugh, in the same sense, it's the same way that I cry, you know? So I was very mixed. Like, part of me was like, I don't, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I just couldn't tell. It's like I want to believe it because I know it's just so much. Like it's over the top, but it's like that for a reason. But at the same time, it's like maybe because that you don't see any tears and stuff like that, and it's just them again laughing to the point where it's like their laugh becomes like their cry, if that makes sense. So kind of an odd scene, or just an odd scene for me. But they all went in and saw Brando one last time, and I'm not gonna lie, that part was kind of gut wrenching. Okay, that was gut wrenching. Now Carly's scenes in the beginning just didn't work for me. I mean, don't get me wrong, it wasn't bad or anything like that, but it's like her just sitting there monologuing for 20 minutes about her past and the stuff that she's done and stuff that she accomplished, and I was just like, is this going somewhere? Like, is this really going somewhere? And it did. Like, right up and towards the end. Like, when a guy came in, was flashing his light in Carly's face, I'm like, bro, what is wrong with you? You see this woman kneeling down or whatever. You had to point that in her face. Like, you just had to be, a dick. You know? Like, no common sense whatsoever will make you think, Okay, maybe this person's going to go see their loved one last time. So she finds out that later on, she finds out that the beautification people are going to practically just move that cemetery on along, over for faster access towards the beach at a mall or some sort of vanity project. So Carly, comes up to that woman. I can't remember her name, but she comes up there. She snatches the phone out of her hand, and she's like, "No, you're not going to sit there and do that. You're not going to do so and so." And I'm just like, where is this somewhat self-righteous attitude coming from? I mean, there's so many different ways of going about it. And granted, I understand final resting place and everything like that, but I'm just like, you could just move the body to Port Charles, right? Like, it's not like you don't have the money, your friends don't have the money. This is really important. You can sit there and kind of, put your pride aside to kind of, get that done. Like the guy said, most people actually had arrangements or whatever. But also I'm just like, Carly, you do realize you're not in Port Charles anymore, right? And you're not married to Sonny technically. And I get that. I get that Carly is a very um gutsy woman. Okay, there's a fine line between gutsy and stupidity. Okay, you're in her territory. This woman has money. She obviously has influence, and you're there with no backup, no money, and no one really knows that at some point you were married to Sonny. Okay, let's just see how well this is going to work out. Oh, Liz. Once again, I feel bad for the Liz fans. I do. I feel bad for the Liz fans because the Liz fans aren't getting anything. Okay? She goes to this whole, she gets hypnotized, and it's just pretty much the same scenes. Same scenes, except for at some point, she's like, I hear someone. And then she looks up in her scene, and it's Peter. Okay? And then later on, she tells Finn, oh, yeah, Peter's probably the one that triggered this whole memory thing. The unlocking the memory. I'm like, that memory was like about a year and a half ago. How much of a delay was it between Peter falling down the stairs, you seeing, you're sitting there checking and being like, oh, he's dead, to now you're going through all this? Load it. Cast members. Okay? Like, this could have, we could have already moved on. They could have started this like maybe a month and a half. There could have been little hints here and there while Peter was alive. In a minute, he was gone. We could have started on that journey. You know what? Honestly, tell you the truth, I'm not gonna lie. It's been so long. I just feel like it should have happened a lot sooner than it is now. But then I'm also sitting there thinking, how long have we been dealing with this whole storyline now? Where at one point we actually thought it was ghosts. Now Liz is like, oh, it could have been my father that could have, pushed him to, pushed the girl down the stairs. Yeah, and that also could have been you. I mean, you did sit there and remember grabbing this woman by the arm. You want to tell me how you reach from you grabbing this woman to, I think my dad did it. You know, I say that with sigh for so many reasons. Most reason is the fact that we may get something from her tomorrow. Maybe. And guess what? We may not get anything for the next 2 weeks. If we're lucky. We're lucky. So Portia must have gave the case of the stupids. That's what I'm calling it. The case of the stupids to Curtis. Remember when Portia was sitting there asking that stupid hypothetical question that was just so obvious? It's like, why are you asking this for? Well, if she didn't lie to you, would you still be together? Yes. Well, is that it? Is that the question you want to sit there and ask me? So Curtis asked sort of the same question to Jordan. If I didn't push for the divorce, if I didn't ask for it, would we still be together? Please tell me that I'm overreacting. Okay? And please tell me why I'm overreacting. Because I literally sat there and I paused it for another good 5 minutes, which is why this video is coming out a bit later. Um, because I really want to understand why are you asking that for? Why are you asking if you didn't push for the divorce, would you still be married? When you just practically went through an interrogation of the same stupid type of question, or same level of stupidity in that question. Just woosah that out for a minute, because if I think about that any longer. Now, Curtis is talking to Jordan, obviously. And Jordan once again brings up Portia. Do you really know Portia? I mean, do you really know Portia? Something you want to share with the classroom, Jordan? No? No? We just gonna sit there and just keep dropping hints here and there? You know, at the end of this whole thing, Curtis is gonna be mad at Jordan. Okay? We know how we know how Curtis can get it. You know, the guy is not he's not always firing on all four cylinders. Okay? Like asking the mob to do him a favor as far as trying to get information on Curtis. I mean on Marshall. You know, just going against his principles, morals, and everything else. Well, I guess to some extent, maybe John will probably deserve a little bit of smoke. Let me backtrack that one. You all know when this comes out, Portia's all doing the tears and I didn't know, I just didn't know how to tell you, and you know, never usually people like cry and be all dramatic at the same time. We're all just they're just looking, just shaking our head like, and even me. We all know how much I love Portia. Portia is gorgeous as F. Even I'm going to be like, Gregory and Alexis. Long story short, now out of nowhere, well, I guess it's the first time Alexis is dealing with something like this, so maybe asking for his help as far as any sort of consultation may prove valuable. You know, put her pride aside. That's the way that she used to sit there and run this story. And now she wants to sit there and do an open letter to the killer. And Gregory was like, "You mean like Sherlock Holmes? I mean like Jack the Ripper? Because they never actually called Jack the Ripper, right?" But after hearing from two idiotic nurses that was talking about Brando's case and that he died and everything like that, like, yep, let's do it. First of all, I'm just like, you're just lucky that those two, and the sad thing, this isn't even the first time that, and it was Diana, yeah, Deanna. The first time it was, sharing Willow's news and Sasha overhearing it. Now it's sharing you know, Brando's case or whatever, his death, and other people would just be walking by and just overhearing it. I'm like, what are you doing? You know what? I will sit there and say this. This is the first time of a scene with Alexis and Gregory where it was actually good. And it didn't suck. So I give him kudos on that. I give him kudos on that scene. This is one of those rare scenes where it was like, and you know what? Maybe it's because they actually, you know what? To be fair, this is the first time they actually have some sort of material that's going on with the story that they're a part of that makes it work. And in some ways, I kind of feel bad for. I feel bad for somebody because usually their scenes suck. Let's just be very clear. I've been very critical, if you have noticed, about those two. About the scenes with those two. This one actually was good. So, kind of took a while to get there. Um, say that much. I feel like that's about it, or at least the most prevalent information. And with that being said, I'm gonna go. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe, and I will see you in the next video. Oh, also, watch Bold and Beautiful reviews. Yeah, I watched it yesterday, but Steffi got on my nerves so bad. I was so annoyed that I just didn't feel like putting out that level of negativity and in a review. Also, it was kind of late. It was like around 10 o'clock, and well, I had to be up kind of early. But mostly because I was just. Oof. Anyway, with that being said, I'm going to go. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe, and I'll see you in the next video.